how does this ball work? How does somebody, how does it just feel like a perfect 5 ounce ball and then just
Okay.
show up with cool stuff on my phone, you know?
Well, it only took about 15 years to figure out. So, but we've got time, right? This product really waited until new technology made it possible. So there's a lot of stuff in there that just didn't exist 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. And we used a lot of, like, there's neural networking and artificial intelligence capabilities inside of this ball that makes it work, which you couldn't do before. And also, we've just got new electronics, low power, super fast electronics in there, and a sensor suite that is unique to the ball that nobody's ever put together the way we did, and that sort of thing. So it's 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 a lot of years of understanding the problem, but really we got lucky because a bunch of technologies all came together at once. But what really happened is I I love baseball. I think pitching is awesome. I'm not a pitcher. Everybody knows that, but it's one of the most complicated things to do in the world. As an engineer, it was just so much fun to work on that problem, and it's so much fun working with pitchers because it's just a great community of people, and they they're always looking for opportunities to do things better, and so being part of that is that's why we're doing it.
That's awesome. Could you go into a little bit more of the detail about the tech that's inside this ball?
Yeah, so inside the ball is a very tiny circuit board. It's about an inch across. It's a little bit bigger than a quarter, and it's got a processor in there that does 64 million instructions per second, which you can't imagine. That's just too fast. I can't imagine that. But we needed that, and it's got a Bluetooth radio that talks to your phone, of course, and it's got a bunch of motion sensors that measure motion in a bunch of different ways. You know, like rotation and acceleration, and it even knows what direction when you throw it. It knows what compass heading you're throwing it, and things like that. And but the real trick was taking all of that as different streams of data, and they call it fusion, and fusing it into a coherent stream. And then we had to figure out, well, how do you know when you're being thrown? So you can measure all this stuff, but how do you know that this is a pitch and not just some guy tossing the ball over to his buddy or rattling around the back of a backpack? So we layered on these algorithms that also help it understand what what kind of motion is happening, what you're actually doing with the ball. So it's um, at down in the dirt level, that's what it's doing. But at a higher level, what it's doing is the ball really understands how it's moving. So when you pick it up and walk around with it, it's tracking that motion. And so when you pick it up and you draw back and fire, it knows that, hey, I've just been pitched and I'm going to hit that glove in about 300 milliseconds. So it's watching what's happening all the time. It's measuring it 1,000 times a second. And as soon as it says, wait a minute, that was a pitch, it says, okay, I got to send out what just happened to the phone. And it does it super fast. Um, since it's always calculating, it's not just sitting there waiting, it's always calculating. And so as soon as it hits the glove, it's like, okay, take everything that just happened and let's send it out. So as soon as you hear that sound of it hitting the glove, it's going to show up on your phone.
Wow, that's interesting stuff. So the processing speed is the fastest I've ever put inside a baseball, right?
As far as I know, yeah.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for a long time. A few years ago, we put a web server inside of a baseball bat. Okay, so it's a weird thing to be able to go onto your browser and log into a baseball bat, but we've done that too. But in this case, um, the motion a pitcher uses to throw a baseball and all the things that happen in the last 30 milliseconds are extremely complicated. And it's not clear how human beings can even do it, right? We know we can, but how it does it kind of defies what we understand about the body. And so the ability to measure all of that takes a lot of processing power. And there's no better place to put it than right in the ball that's feeling all the effects of what you're doing to that ball. So we like being in the ball because it's a very simple system. For a pitcher, you just focus on the pitching, but you don't have cameras staring at you. You don't have, stuff that you're setting up or anything like that. You just pull the ball out of your pocket and you just start using it. And so it was a nice confluence of, hey, this is real easy to use, but it's also the perfect place to be if you want to measure a throw.